good.
It sounds real, dude.
Not bad, huh?
Free speech is alive and well on today's News Talk, TNT.
Welcome back. Well, if you live in London, sorry about that. If you don't live in London, don't come here. It's not the right place for you to go on holiday. Go anywhere but here. Rotterdam, there's even a song about it, I think. Well, and I say that because the ultra-low emission zone tax has just had its first anniversary, a miserable anniversary in my view. It started on the 20th of August, 2023. Joining me now is Simon Fawthrop, Conservative Councillor in the London Borough of Bromley, a victim of ULEZ, anti-ULEZ campaigner and free speech advocate, to review the first 12 months of this dreadful tax. I'm expressing an opinion there, by the way. Simon, welcome. I hope you had a good weekend. How are you?
I did, thanks, Lembit. Well, I'm absolutely tickety-boo because, as you know, I can now breathe clean air thanks to this ULEZ expansion. I mean, it's amazing. Do you know, before this came in, I had smogs outside my door. I daren't open the window. It was terrible. And of course, now, it's so much better. It's a delight. I mean, to be honest, and even better, I've got a great conscience because those 4,000 people that Khan claims were dying every day or every year, well, they're now saved. Their lives are saved. So we are heroes for doing that. But I wish that were true. But actually, as you probably know, that's not the truth at all. Funny enough, it's good timing.
Before you got to that last point, people who have switched off saying, why do we have this Sadiq Khan stooge on today's News Talk? They'll say, how dare Lembit get such a fool on his show? That's the problem. When I made this mistake when I was an MP, because there's something called Hansard, and it's a verbatim report of what you say in Parliament. And I realised sarcasm looked literal. You say, and we're all very grateful for the Prime Minister's new tax. But it looked like we're all very grateful for the Prime Minister's new tax. Anyway, sorry. I know your pathos.
They can tune back in now. That's the great thing. Well, actually, it's quite fortunate on the timing of this because Bromley Council have got a report going to their Environment Committee this Wednesday. And do you know what it says? It says, and I'll quote it because I've got it here, being the sort of thing. And it says, well, what cannot be seen at present is an overall lowering of pollution levels that can be directly attributed to the implementation of ULEZ in Outer London. It's black and white. So our officers produced this report and said, actually, it's made no difference, which is what, funny enough, we said beforehand. We said, this isn't going to make any difference at all. We've got good air quality out here. And in reality, as I say, I live in the suburbs in Greater London. And, we have fantastic clean air here. It's countryside around us. And it's a delight. And so, of course, it's a con. It's just a tax raising scheme, basically. But it's iniquitous because, of course, the people, it affects pensioners and it affects people like that might need their car to get about and are less mobile, so disabled pensioners. And so those that don't have the ability to change. So you might not have a fully disabled vehicle, but you use your car because you're not as firm at getting about as you used to be. So to outlay for a new car is horrendous for them. So it's actually a tax them. And that's why in the elections in May this year, we had an 11% swing to the Conservatives in this particular area because people were fed up with what Khan was doing. So, it's clearly not working. And the other thing is, and it's worthwhile bearing in mind, that there was a natural attrition, I call it, anyhow, because over time, air quality was improving because just naturally people change older cars for newer cars and such like. And so actually it was improving, and we've shown that it's actually gone down by a third since 2017 without doing anything. So ULEZ has made basically no difference whatsoever.
So no lives have been saved. But that doesn't surprise me, Simon, because the horrible reality is the lies. Sadiq Khan claims particulate matter can kill you. And yet he's wanting to force us into the London Underground, where particulate matter can be up to 3,000% higher than at street level. I want to start a class action against Sadiq Khan because by his own words, he is damned. And anyone who uses the London Underground should be able to sue him.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, at the end of the day, but there's no money in it. That's why he won't worry about that. And also, you've got to remember it's public transport. And I don't want to go on about this, but there's this frowned upon use of private vehicles. But yet, people getting from A to B without public transport is actually the norm. Most people do that. There's one or two people, and quite a few in London, particularly in inner London, that will travel using public transport because it's easy and it's convenient. But when you get to places like where I live, it's going to take me, at least 20 minutes to walk to the nearest bus stop and such like. So, that's the sort of thing that you're facing. And certain people aren't going to do that. People are going to do what is logical for them, and that is to get into a vehicle and go about their daily business, whether that's going to work or whether it's doing other things like shopping or whatever. So and that's why it's just horrendous, and that's why Khan is so loathed in places like this. And the good news is, and I won't say this, but actually people are still stopping ULEZ being expanded. You may not be aware of this, but there are some good people, various places, and every time they put up a camera, the authorities have to get a permit to do it. Now, there's some very good people out there who look for these permits, and when they see a permit coming along, they go and stand where the camera's going to go and block it, so they can't go there. And I like this because this is a legitimate form of protest. It's not breaking the law, and it's actually very clever and very witty. So those people that do that day in, day out, in outer London, all over. So the question is, if it's working, why is Khan still trying to expand it further? Because it's not about air quality. It's about money, I'm afraid.
But what he's doing, and certainly this applies to me, is totally dissuading me from taking my business, my shopping, my family into London. I'll do anything to avoid it now. I do have to go in sometimes, but I'm saying, screw you, frankly. If you want to take to charge me, I had to go to Heathrow Airport. I had to drive there in my old car, and I bitterly resented paying just to go in there to do something important. So I now do what I can to avoid going into London, Simon, and that must cost them billions.
Of course, and a colleague of mine actually described it as putting a Berlin Wall around London to stop people coming in. And I know now of many doctors and nurses that don't come into London because they don't want to pay that extra fee. They've now relocated to places outside, so we're losing our social workers, our nurses, etc., to places outside of London. So it means that our public services are actually under more strain because of it. So there's things like that taking place, and it's not helpful at all. And you're absolutely right that it is a deterrent. There are many businesses that won't do business in London now, so of course that puts the price of things up. And if they are doing business, they charge that £12.50 onto their client. So it inevitably is bad all round.
What's the best strategy?
Sorry, I was going to say, what you have to remember is that there's still something like 700,000 vehicles that are not compliant. So they can't be changed because he's ended the scrappage scheme. And actually, those people that I know did apply for the scrappage scheme were lucky if they got it. They had to apply 6, 7, 8 times before they even got it, and then they got a measly £2,000. Yeah. Sorry.
They scrapped my Lambeth Council, stole my vehicle and crushed it. I won't go into the whole story now, but I have no respect for Lambeth Council, whatever, to be honest with you. But
I won't confess that I used to be a Lambeth councillor then.
I hold it against you. It's you.
It's always my fault. It's always I come on here to take the blame for everything, as you know.
First you praise Sadiq Khan, and then you steal my motorbike. Finally, what do you think is the best strategy to get rid of the ultra-low emission zone? I still think it's a change of mayor. But then we didn't really have
a change.
Your party, the Conservatives. Yeah, but Susan Hall didn't even promise to get rid of the whole of the ultra low emission zone neither. The only candidate who I think really said that was Howard Cox from Reform UK.
And it's the art of the possible, isn't it? Because it's about, you've got to win over people on both sides. And I think what Susan wasn't trying to do was upset those supporters that may have been in London. And as I've always said to Howard, who I consider a good friend, I said, it's not just about those hardcore anti-ULEZ people, but if you look at places which like the sort of Richmonds, Kingstons, Suttons of this world, where there used to be, there was a strong Liberal Democrat presence. You can't win Greater London without winning those types of areas. So, and I think what Susan probably didn't do was reach out to them enough. And that's not talking about, going wimpy or wet. It's talking about how you engage with them to make them feel they're wanted, and actually it will be beneficial to them to get rid of it. So, and as you can see, back in the mayoral elections, a lot of Lib Dems voted in that area. If the Lib Dems had come on board, we might have actually been in a better position, and it would have been a much closer race.
Well, don't hold that against me either. That was then, this is now. Simon, good to see you. We'll get you back pretty soon to see how your campaign's going. That's Simon Fawthrop. And we're going to stay on the subject of free speech with Tim Scott from one of the most powerful organisations in the UK when it comes to free speech, actually, the Freedom Association itself. All of that with me, Lembit Öpik, here on TNT. See you in a moment.
TNT Radio News.
Big